Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Now, I don't usually talk about outages, but today I felt I had to, as I was directly affected by one yesterday. Like many small content creators, I rely on Canva for quick template resizing across multiple platforms and its built-in brand kits. That was down all day, which turned a task that normally takes about 10 minutes into an all-day ordeal. And then on top of that, I had Zoom meetings that I just couldn't join. I figured then that I'd step out for lunch while waiting for a resolution, but even Android Auto wouldn't work. All of this pushed me to dig into what actually went wrong yesterday and why these outages seem to be happening more often, as it follows a major Vodafone outage last week that also affected me. So what actually happened yesterday? Let's do a quick recap of the AWS outage itself. So, AWS, the backbone for countless apps and services, experienced a major disruption yesterday. The issue traced to problems with DNS resolution for the DynamoDB API endpoint in the US East 1 region, which is actually one of Amazon's busiest data centers. But what does that actually all mean? Well, in simple terms, it all comes down to how the internet finds where to send your requests. DNS, or Domain Name Systems, is essentially the internet's phone book. It translates human-readable web addresses like controlglitchfix.com, be sure to check it out, into IP addresses that servers use to route traffic. When DNS fails, even if the servers themselves are fine, devices can't locate them, meaning that apps break, websites stop loading, and services time out. Because AWS hosts a huge portion of the modern web, banking apps and streaming platforms, even productivity tools and smart home devices can fail. One hiccup can ripple across the digital world. What did the timeline itself look like? Well, I actually started observing issues around 8:30 UK time. And not just myself, but others were seeing error pages like 500, 503, service unavailable, blank pages, or maintenance screens. Mobile apps were just refusing to open, or they were stuck on splash screens. Or, my personal favourite, which is now etched into my eyes and brain, something went wrong, try again later. I actually checked before I went to bed last night, and at 22:48 UK time, this was AWS's statement. So it looked like things were starting to go back to normal, but that was over 14 hours later. Not every app went down, but a surprising number slowed or broke because they share underlying dependencies. So high-profile services were affected to varying degrees, which included the likes of Snapchat, Amazon themselves, Fortnite, several government websites, and, of course, AWS itself. Some UK banks even reported issues. Zoom experienced disruptions, like I've said. I've actually included a fuller list in the description, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. But this latest incident is a reminder of how dependent today's online ecosystem has become on centralized cloud providers. A single point of failure in one region can cause widespread disruption, a reality that's sparking renewed conversations about cloud redundancy, multi-region backups, and diversification across providers. But why are these outages happening? I'm going to start by being real. These types of outages don't happen very often. They usually happen once every few years. But there are a couple of reasons why they do happen. One of them is cloud scale and complexity. Cloud systems are insanely complex, millions of interconnected services, microservices, and configurations. That complexity increases the chance that a small misconfiguration or bug cascades. You've also got a single region or single provider concentration. So a lot of companies lean heavily on specific regions, like US East 1, because they're cost effective and have the most features, or actually are just geographically closest. But that centralization creates the single point of failure. Then you have supply chain dependencies. Most apps don't just use AWS, they rely on third-party APIs, content delivery networks, auth providers, and payment gateways, all riding on the same cloud. If one link fails, the whole features break. Then you have rapid innovation velocity. So cloud providers move fast, they roll out new features, config options, performance tweaks, and security patches constantly. Each change is safe in isolation and in test, but the real world is messy. At internet scale, rare edge cases pop up where a combination of settings like traffic patterns and dependencies can break things that nobody fully anticipated. When a change meets one of these edge cases, it can cascade. A small bug or misconfiguration turns into widespread degradation because so many customers share the same underlying platform. Then you have cost versus resilience trade-offs. So multi-region and multi-cloud architectures are expensive and particularly complex. Many teams take the risk off for speed and cost savings. Then you have human factors. So maintenance, rollouts, and operational errors do happen, unfortunately. Even with automation and guardrails, humans are still in the loop and we are prone to make mistakes. So all of this creates a domino effect, which makes the internet ripple. When AWS has trouble, you see things like logging failures, media won't load, checkouts time out, and even background tasks pile up. Even apps not directly on AWS can slow down if they depend on services that are. This is why we do talk about shared fate on the internet. Basically, we all ride the same infrastructure rails. But what does this mean for creators, business users, or just users in general? So for creators, live stream interruptions happened, there were upload delays, there were analytics outages, and the derailment of schedules, which I myself actually experienced. For businesses, this resulted in lost sales, SLA penalties, support backlogs, and probably the most damaging, brand hits. For everyday users, it was just a reminder that the cloud is just someone else's computer and that it's quite complicated. What are the practical takeaways that we can gain from this? Well, for everyday users, or even actually creators, have an offline plan. Back up your scripts. Have local editing, upload windows outside of peak times, and export critical data regularly. Basically, keep redundancies for tools you can't live without. And then there's a little bit more complex for teams or engineers. They need to have a look at their failover runbooks, have circuit breakers, need to have retry strategies, couldn't say that, in place, and graceful degradation. It's also wise to cache static content and decouple critical paths, and of course, test disaster scenarios. You may even want to consider multi-region or multi-cloud for truly critical services, but do it intentionally. Complexity can backfire. So what did I learn from yesterday? Well, after yesterday, I'm building a plan B into my routine by including a secondary pipeline that can publish even if my main tools are down. And I may also take a look at my upload schedule to avoid single points of failure when deadlines are tight, as they often are. So that's it for today, guys. I'm just going to leave you with one question. Were you affected by the AWS outage? Share your experience in the comments. Let me know what actually broke for you. And how did you work around it? If you found this helpful or interesting, please like and subscribe for more tech explainers. And of course, check out the description for the full list of impacted services that AWS have admitted to. Thanks again for watching, guys, and please take care of yourselves.